Yo, what's cracking lacking audience? Hope you're doing good. Welcome back, welcome back. To my man cave. So, I really love like boiling down to it. To the essence of the essence of the essence. And I was thinking, what if there was something that you could take care of and everything else would fall into place, would you not do it? I think I've said that before. And there is. I have an audacity to say that there is. In a sense that everything else will fall into place because it will be effortless, not that you're not doing anything. You're just going to be doing things without the effort. Effort meaning friction, strive, pushing against, that type of thing. Not that you're not going to be moving. Very important distinction. Moving effortlessly. That's what the elegance or grace is. Moving through life with ease. Just like the Matrix. Fucking dodging the bullets. So what's that thing? What am I teaching when I'm trying to show this to people? So I spend a lot of time, quote unquote, there, like in it and out of it, in it and out of it, and actually, you're never out of it. It what happens is that you end up being in it and out of it. That's what happens. That's why that escape to be completely out of it is not plausible. Because the way is to mix those two together, that's the way out. And that's the state that where like we tune into the state where those two not separate. Non-duality. But they keep on trying to separate because we live in this space-time. But we're not making it into a problem. We're just becoming really good at reconnecting the dots of how it's supposed to be. And that reconnecting the dots as how it's supposed to be is the game of life. It is this first joystick of life, which makes the consequent joysticks easy to play. So this one is the most important one because it makes everything else easy. And I was looking at it and understanding what that is like, because like if I see myself as this energy, as if I would see something outside of me that is electromagnetic phenomenon, to observe that and to have the same image of like what's it like. But now instead of just having that image, to actually be that energy, it's like what's happening. It's like, is there something that I can do to make that energy go differently? And eventually you get to the point where because when people sometimes say focus on the positive, right? Just keep focusing on the positive. Focus on the positive. It's part of it, but that's not all of it. Because you also need to focus on the negative, but in a different way. Attention is two-sided. Attention is two-sided. That's the secret. It is not looking at the observer not looking at the observer being inside the observed, that can feel the back side and the front side at the same time. And so what do? It does, you give a right type of attention to the back side and the right type of attention to the front side. Jesus, now it's just getting a little bit pornographic, but bear with me. Good porn though. Anyway, stop it. What was I saying? What was I saying? Right. Attention is two-folded. Why is it so difficult to get into that attention? Because we always understand attention as one-sided. That is just me looking at something, but not understanding that there is something in between. That it is me looking at observer and observed. So there's part of you looking at the observer, and there's a part of you that looking at observed. That's correct. Now, so you see, it is such a twofold thing. This is why to move to that double attention is a bit of a challenge because it's such a liminal space. But by placing and observing attention on all of your source of all your feelings, that's the one thing. But also not forgetting to focus on everything else that is out there. So let me just illustrate of what I think is going on. So by putting that that attention, which is your soul, attention is your soul, to that deepest feeling that you can possibly find within yourself, that is maybe like labeled as something uncomfortable, right? That's why your attention goes into the negative. Your attention goes what we call the negative. It's actually incoherent, but the negative. The attention goes where separation is, right? But that's not enough, because I often talk about alchemy and theurgy as like a two sides of the same coin. Because it is. Alchemy is burning up on one side, and on another side, there is a light that you have to be shining on. And you're going to make a choice of where you're going to shine that light that's directing that energy. And you find the best possible feeling that you can find. So part of you finds the worst possible feeling that you can find, and another part of you finds the best possible feeling that you can find. That is when you get into that fucking zone. The immortal zone. That gangsta shit. You know? And to stay there is the name of the game. I know. I'm awesome. I know. Oh, shit. So you see the weirdness of it? That settles everything, because that focus on the positive gets freaking toxic. Right? So But it is a part of it. But not when a right part of you is taking care of the negative. Another part of you can take care of the positive. And that's the game. This is it. This is the fucking formula that I want to say as this ultimate truth of whatever I'm talking about and whatever people are looking for. It is a type of attention that is double-sided. That's the words that I use right now. But it is understandable because I can ask somebody to place attention on the negative feeling, and they can do that. And then I also ask, like, what is the most positive thing that you can find right now to be focused on? As in, like, you know, the image of the feeling that you want. And that's theurgy. The alchemy, one side, and then theurgy. And because theurgy, what it does, actually, it is the game of trying to like follow the best possible feeling. It's just like you're following the best possible feeling while being attentive of the worst possible feeling. And it's a freaking trip. It's an edge. It is basically where once you're there, you're like, okay? Then, when you become settled in, and whenever you're already by default directing energy towards the best possible feeling and the worst possible feeling and staying in between, then you may direct that energy towards more concrete images. Because the first image is going to be a pattern. It is not exactly an image yet. This is why soul makes patterns, mind makes images. Okay? And body, which is part of mind, makes symbols, actually. Everything they do. Like gesture. I moved right here. Right now, right? I moved. That's a symbol. Right? You can freeze it and draw like and sort of like a angle and whatever and say, look, that's the symbol of what just happened, the gesture that this guy made. So because you can see the physical world is a world of symbols. Okay? And that's this body part, brain, understands world only through language and symbols and stuff like that, right? So a lot of people are just walking language models. You have to understand. Now, another thing I have to say about this, like a lot of people not being real and stuff like that. The way it really works, the way it looks from this side of the pond, is that consciousness, like as an energy, is trying to come through all of the people, but it cannot do this at once. It has to pop gradually, okay? So it's just like the energy trying to enter all of the people on this planet. And that's the stimulation to evolve for each single person. There's an experience that somebody is evolving there. Okay? That's why you should participate in society. Sure, have your sustainable house, beach house, mountain house, whatever, you know, that place that you would feel like as a sanctuary, right? That is kind of immune from everything else. But participate in society and be part of society and find the best place there. Like, you know, if that's my, you know, of course, double-sided advice, just like a double-sided attention. But you see what I mean? The reason they're doing bad is because you are not there. Like just because you are not they fucking shit up because you're not there, right? That's why they fuck shit up. So you have to be there, and most of the people who, out on the outskirts of society doing the spiritual shit is just supposed to be participating in society and doing real stuff, real things, because the people who leave the society are actually the best people to run the society. So back into society you go. At least, I mean, I definitely am. Because just like that double sided attention, it shows you this double thing that's happening here. That in order for you to make the matrix more holistic, you had to be in the matrix. And one side of you in the holistics, you have to be in between. You can't try to be all holistics because it's not there yet. It's just going to happen automatically when you're between the matrix and the holistic. So this is why we're supposed to be a part of society. And I want to run shit, honestly, I want to run shit good. I have a lot of ideas of how to structure a society. What kind of laws are just basically bullshit, why the whole society is messed up. What to do with people who are leaning towards devices and stuff like that. Got some ideas, so I like to be an architect of holistic society frameworks. I'll make myself a title. Why don't I? And just do it. Oh my God, look at this. Sorry about it. Cheers. My fur. Right? Did we get to the point? And so it's all about that right type of attention with anything that's happening in your life. It's not something that you do as a meditation. This is your life happening in the real time. Your life is happening in the real fucking time. That's what to focus on. Okay? As life happening in real fucking time, you focus on the best thing possible that is happening there, the best feeling, the best pattern, the best image. And another side is plugging the other hole. Okay? In order to do that, you have to take a special type of attention. And to tune into that special type of attention is the name of the game. That is it. There's nothing else. It is about the way you tune your consciousness and what you do. And that's it. And then life is happening. Life is happening. And this gives you the best possible chance to take the best possible opportunities, to handle, be at the moment of the challenge and the capability and the skill, right? When they match, it's fun. When the challenge is too much, it's not fun. Okay? And when the skill is too much, it's not fun. Because then you get bored. So you have to be like always on the edge. So that's why this type of approach of focusing on the best possible out there and, the other side on the worst possible out there, it puts you in this type of position that the worst possible thing that could happen is already being taken care of with that side of the attention. And the attention of the side of attention that manifests things are focused on the images and patterns that you do want, right? And so that is a type of going down this tunnel, right? Like imagine that you're going down this freaking hyperloop thing, and you're like that, and you're just freaking following that thing almost, your northern star. And so the choices that you make in life, everything is going to be this. It's going to be that feels in between of that. This way, you're not checking out on anything that you have to do, because if something feels sort of like a negative, you can always find the other side of the positive of this, right? And so you go exactly where you need to go. Okay, the obstacle is the way, as they say, but this is the thing, right? And you don't overdo it, you don't go too much into negativity, and you don't go too much into positivity. You got to stay in between. Okay, because you go too much into positivity, now you're delusional. If you go too much into negativity, now you're delusional. You're being too negative. And then you go way too much positivity, okay, you're being too positive. When you stay in the middle, you stay in that zone of passion that is not like, one side and the other side, the anxiety and depression side, right? So it is your attention, your focus that needs to be trained, needs to be potty trained, basically. We're all here for potty training, honestly. But soon I'm gonna be big boy. Right? Look, this reality right now, this what we share right now, this is an experimental thing. It's not a base reality. We are playing the game in order to be at the base reality. You see, and now what I've described, that capacity to start sliding down that hyperloop of life, you can see how without it, it's just nothing's gonna work out. That you're gonna have to go into some sort of escapism, right? Why do people do that? And so, right, it's one or the other. If people are not in it, they're not doing it. They're gonna have to use some sort of escapism. This is why sometimes people is like, oh, how does he know? How he can read my mind? Because when you go off this track that I'm talking about, you're automatically going to be patterning into a specific type of pattern that is already there, and they're limited and they're quite predictable, and you can see it. So everything that you experience in life out of this hyperloop is already scripted, lived thousands of times. It's a script, story of some sort of drama or whatever, right? But it's not an adventure. That's why I would separate those two. I would separate drama from the adventure. You want your life to be adventure. You don't want your life to be a drama. You want to be living life as an adventure. So you basically fake drama just for laughs, right? The purpose of drama in your life becomes, being falsely dramatic, because it's fun sometimes. And the best thing you can do out of the Matrix Muppets is to pull a little fun. So there you see. And the more you're out of it, the more you're in this hyperloop, the more effect you're going to have on other people to coming out of their slumbers. Okay, and that's what it is. And So we're all kind of like, uh, bringing each other home, as Ramdas said, but not without something that we have to do. I know some people say like it's not about doing. It's kind of the opposite, like non-doing, stuff like that. The fact of the matter that is, if you functioning in a way where you kind of anxiety, depression, whatever, where it's just you run on stress, you or like deep down hidden suffering, that's the mode of being. There is a way, if you want, to start living on the edge of life, if you want, without having to resort to this dysfunction. The doors are open. If you want, just do one-on-one session with me, and I haven't had a single failure so far in bringing that attention in people without them stopping doing what they're doing in life, without them needing going to some fucking retreat, without them needing to resort to some trinkets and some nonsense or drugs or anything like that. No, you just figure out, okay, I'm here to play the game. It's like, okay, here's how you play the game. You try it. Oh shit. Okay, I get how do I play the game at the energy level. Without this, nothing's gonna. This has to be addressed first. Fact. This is why sometimes, like, if people watch me and say, like, why this guy is so kind of categorical? What is like? There's nothing that is functioning, right and whatnot in a society. The only thing that does function is the people who are living on that point, as life as an adventure. That's the part that works. And if they don't have that, if they haven't figured out exactly how to face life, then they're going to resort to some sort of things. And of course, one of those things is sitting and listening to some guru talk for hours. Right? That's one of those things. This supposed to be passed on in one meeting, or it can't be. That's the way I see it. But also, for somebody to say, all right, show me this shit. Somebody has to have balls. This takes the biggest balls to put your attention on the worst possible feeling and the best possible feeling at the same time. Right? So what does negative energy can do to you? Nothing, because you are completely attentive of it. It cannot escape. Negativity cannot escape. And focusing on the positive, because that is the smartest thing to do. That's the most intelligent thing to do, is to focus on the most positive pattern, which is a feeling, by the way. A patterned feeling. And that's theurgy. You see, like, I love this talk because oh my god, I love it because it kind of stops here. There's nothing more that I can say about this. I may talk about other things, sure, but this is it. Like, but also I know that anything else that I talk about, if this is not addressed within the person, it's not gonna have this effect. It's just gonna be looked at some sort of belief system, right? Because that's the only thing that it can do from that side. But if it acts as like, okay, what I'm hearing is a version of life that I want. And so this version of life that you want, and that piques the curiosity and says, okay, I want to find out of how do I live my life in a version that I want. And then you come to me, and one session is done. Now you know. Now you know. Then the things that I talk about on this side of the pond make sense because you can relate to it. When I say something, like white passion, or it feels like Metatron vibration, you get to understand what that is. And what theurgy is what thaumaturgy is. So that's basically theurgy and alchemy. Looking at the worst possible thing on one side and then looking at the best possible thing on the other. That settles that. And your soul will be creating the patterns that are most graceful by default. And these patterns are always different. They're not the same. That's why you can never get bored of this feeling, because it's a feeling of infinity. It's always changing, but something always stays the same about it. And you may say how, like it's difficult for the mind to grasp, like the quality that is there is the quality that's like, oh, that okay, I understand that quality of in-betweenness. I understand that quality of non-duality. And there's a game, like you figured it out, like it's a type of tuning. Say, okay, that's what I do there, and this is what I focus on there. And for example, right now I can't find like the worst possible feeling in my body and the best possible feeling in my body, and it can connect the dots, and something energetically is happening. It's like, like those electricity that's gonna go and then suddenly and then connect. That's what it feels like. I'm focusing on the best possible thing and on the worst at the same time. It's a trip, okay? It's like, whoa. And I'm just trying to ride that baby. Yeah? Learn to ride that baby. Wow. I wish I was more I don't wish that I was more, because the very thing of the most positive thing and the most negative thing is the place of reconciliation of the two. And it's just like, and then because when they're together, that's the best feeling, of course, because they are separate and together at the same time. Right? If you go too much into the positive, becomes toxic. Go too much into the negative, it becomes toxic. Stay in between. it's a bit of a game. Just because I say that that's the thing, it's like learning to walk tightrope. It's possible, but at first you're just gonna fall off a few times. But you're gonna have moments where you're just like, oh my god, look, no hands, and you're walking. It's like, oh shit, and then fall off, fuck, and then you're just like, oh, and eventually you get to learn to walk down this hyperloop thing. Okay. And come on, book a session or a podcast. Much more fun than living there, in the dark. Another thing I wanted to say about the systems. This is what I'm talking about, is trusting the system of consciousness itself. The same thing can be applied on what happens in the mind and the body. Those are systems. If you trust the system and you play the system itself, that's all you need to know. You don't trust the person because person is pliable and not reliable. It's persona. That's just the character. You cannot trust the character because the character is moving based how it is being moved. And it's being moved in a very bad way if that's what's down there in your consciousness. Right? If too much negativity, this is too much positivity, it's this. Okay? And I don't know, whatever. I can see that this is it. That's just why I would never create the freaking systems that are not conducive to this. And by definition, a lot of these things that promise this and doesn't deliver to you, and it says that it takes years and whatever. It doesn't take fucking years. You get it or you get it. That's it. You get it or you don't, but it's impossible to don't. Because if you are with somebody who gets it, you're gonna get it very fast. You just almost borrow that thing. It's like, okay, look, I'm streaming like that. You try it. Poof. Oh shit, I'm on the same stream. Oh my god, this is dope. Right? That's it. And there's a lot of you in that stream, or just some of you in that stream. But that stream is there, but you need to connect the dots. I don't freaking understand. It's like, really, the whole life is just so you could understand. It's like, oh, wait a second. If I could just take this with this, everything's gonna be all right. And then you're like, poof. Oh my god, and I was worrying for nothing. That's what life on Earth feels like to me. Oh shit. And sometimes more negativity comes in, and sometimes more toxic positivity comes in. Well, too much negativity is toxic. Too much positivity, it's toxic too. Because then, you're not facing life as is, and you're just like, oh, everything is fine. It's like, no, you're going down the cliff. No, it's fine. Right? Sorry. So anyway. But look, that makes you something out of you, but um, it makes something out of you, that approach, because the choices that you make are like genius choices, because you run by that intelligence. And I have a feeling that you don't even know, you don't even need to know, you don't even need to know exactly how it works, as deep as I am in trying to figure out like the whole um, mechanics and phenomena of consciousness, that if you use it, you don't have to know how it even works. But it's not satisfying to me, because I think if I don't know how it works, if for some reason that goes offline, and I don't have a way to get back on it, so I better know how it works, right? So that cannot be pushed off my horse. And if I am pushed off my horse, it's fine. I know how to get back on it. That's why I gotta have a backup, a little model that would put me back and synchronize me back. Because it is like this memento. Like you wake up and you're like, fuck, you forget like what the fuck is happening. And then if there's a tattoo on your hand or whatever, it says like, okay, this is what's going on right now. That's what you got to do, the first thing, and to come back online. All right, and then you do this, and it's back online. Right? Isn't it cool? So this is the only thing to remember. And by the way, it's the most incentivized thing on planet to place your attention on that liminal space. It's the most incentivized thing on the planet already. So it's not like you're not going to want to do it over and over and over again. You're going to want to live in it. Okay? And it's awesome because it's always changing. It's always new. It gets more intense, gets more peaceful. It has its own type of character, and all the patterns. But everything is boss. Everything is good, on that level. And because everything is good on that level, then everything else is just like not really is devastating. Like one thing changes in your life and it devastates you. This doesn't happen anymore. It's maybe like sad and whatever, but there's just an emotion that you can enjoy, and the bittersweet thing that people say. Because life is bittersweet, by the way. But the bittersweetness is, it's, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so even that is fine. Now then you can enjoy life. Because to enjoy life, you're actually, first of all, to place your attention on the point between the most negative, most positive thing. Okay. Turns on the light. And that is joy. Now, with that joy, then you enjoy. And whatever you're going to enjoy, that's the one that you're going to imbue it with the joy. And because you imbued it with the joy, and joy is light, every moving towards that outcome. So the universe brings you what you enjoy the most. Okay? If you enjoy bullshit, then that's what's going to be more for you. So you have joy, and now you enjoy. And whatever you enjoy, it means projecting joy onto, is the thing that you're going to get more and more of. That thing you can trust. The system works like that. You can bet on it. Like, it's just the way it works, okay? Whether it takes time or not, it doesn't matter. But if you keep on enjoying it, life was going to bring it to you. And I think at this point, it becomes like, okay, what kind of image do you enjoy? And honestly, at that point, things get kind of spooky, because you can enjoy anything. And to say, for example, like, well, based on my character enjoys this particular thing. Not necessarily. If life changes and there's a different character that is required to be played there, you can change the character. You can make that character enjoy completely different things. And obviously, the best things to enjoy are the most things that are required of you. So what does that mean? That means that you don't have any fixed character. You're always shape shifting into the character that is required of you at that moment. Right? That's why right now I am like, whatever the fuck this guy is. And then there's going to be another guy, because that is what is required of me. Okay? So when you do things that is required of you, and you know that it's about like, okay, this is the thing that is required of me the most, that's the thing that's going to be enjoyable the most. You connect those dots again. So the first dot you connect in your soul, the second dot you connect in the mind, and that is to enjoy the images that you want more of. Okay? Or that is required of you, I should say. That's actually where your bliss is going to be. So if people say follow your bliss, this is where your bliss is going to be. Ironically, it's going to be the most call to adventure thing that's going to be the most awesome for you. Right. So we learned a lot today. And I'm doing what I'm talking about. So I'll report back how it works. And it should place you in really like good places. And the things that you enjoy in your imagination, it's a good idea not to insist of them coming in the physical. Does that make sense? Like, you don't insist on it, because that's where you misuse your will. You just keep enjoying it. And if it comes in as like different completely form or opposite form, and if that's what you keep enjoying it, to keep enjoying it. And it may happen no matter how, it looks. But if you just say like, oh yeah, I don't know if I want this anymore, and you enjoy something else, then that's what's going to be. But if you enjoy something and you keep enjoying it, whether it's coming in the physical or not, then you don't really care whether it comes in the physical or not. And that's when you're on that sweet spot where don't care, but not in a negative way. It's just that that's what it means to, okay, that's what it means to enjoy the outcome without being attached to the outcome. Again, it's the same principle of intention. The best intention is double intention. It's enjoying the outcome already, okay? And not asking it to be so on the other end. Isn't it interesting? Like, because I can really enjoy it, but if I insist of it coming, I introduce the friction and I lose the enjoyment. So if you just focus on the enjoyment, it's going to be all right. It really is a bit like very retarded view on life. It is such a almost ignorant way of looking at life, but in a best ignorant way possible. Does that make sense? It's like you're ignoring your physical reality, because what you enjoy, right? And the universe is built in that way, is that whatever you enjoy, it brings you more. Whatever you if you enjoy the fulfillment of that desire, brings universe gives you more. This is how everything evolves. It's like, plant has an intention to reach more for the sun. It wants more of the sun. It creates that desire, and because plant immediately fulfills its own desire because it doesn't have ego, that's how everything is evolves. So your life, your story of life can evolve if you let it evolve like that. It's like if you're going to keep enjoying that thing, it's going to happen, right? And sometimes people, for example, maybe enjoying some dysfunctional shit and that nonsense running in your mind. It's like, oh, so you have these thoughts, you enjoy these thoughts, and it's like, yeah, like, why would I fucking do that, right? So you go back to the worst possible feeling and the best possible feeling attention. Okay, so mostly what we talked about today is that the soul game of double-sided attention, the worst and the best. And in the mind, we also talked about the double-sided intention, focusing on the worst and the best. Is that what's going on? Right. You turn your back on the worst and you focus on the best. That's what you do with your mind. And so you basically turn your back on any kind of events that happen in the 3D, in the physical reality. It's like irrelevant to you. Somebody would come up and say like, hey, this is happening, and whatever. It's like, okay, it doesn't concern me. That's what I'm envisioning. That's what, if I'm enjoying and pushing a lot of light into this, that's what's gonna be brought. Okay, that's what's gonna be brought. You trust in the system. And if the person comes in and just like, whoa, it's a trickery, says, no, it's not. I see it. This is what I'm seeing in my mind, and I'm enjoying it, and it's a lot of fun. So that must be true. It must be fucking true. And I think eventually you break it, but by the time you break it, you already have it. You may have developed your imagination so good, or like you lucid dreaming or astral projecting, which, by the way, I should freaking do more of that. I should start doing it, because I was so into this, figuring this thing out, that I neglected the other. But I knew that this needs to be figured out first, because I really wanted to arrive to this one thing that brings me back on the horse. The in betweenness of things. You can call it the golden lining. because it does feel like you placing all your energy on the source of it. And then you're looking and sort of tuning towards that glow, that golden lining. And then you're like, oh, the golden lining of this bad thing that we call bad thing. You find the golden lining of this bad, the worst feeling inside of you, and this is it. And then you're like, oh no, that's the best thing feeling. That's not the worst. It's outside that. It's like neither best, neither worst, but that's most enjoyable. The best feeling is not the most enjoyable, and the worst feeling is not most enjoyable. What's most enjoyable is them both together. That little bit of bite, which is with the sweetness. You want that little bit of bite with the sweetness. Too much bite, not good. Too much sweetness, not good. Okay? So, the golden lining principle. Peace, and I'll see you in the next one.